It's a clinic.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Hear Us
You're
Out. Hey, the vibes are lit. We're so excited. So, what's up,
yes.
everyone? It's Hear Us Out, the music and media blueprint brought to you by myself, River, my girl Lottie. And today, we have a very special guest, Miss Chakirah Knight. What's up, Shakira? Welcome.
Hi,
Hey.
I'm
We
so
love
happy to
it.
We
be
got
here.
Shakira on and the bob is bobbing.
Yes.
I just need everyone to know the
Bobbing.
bob is bobbing. I wish
Period.
I got
We
the
love
memo, but
it.
it's cool. No.
No, for real. So, for all of you guys that are just now tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome to Hear Us Out. On this show, we just give the blueprint for how to navigate the music and media industry. For the returning guests, y'all already know the vibes we're on. This season, we're talking to all of our favorite creatives about how to build currency creatively. Today, though, we're about to talk about some spiritual currency. We're about to talk about some mental health and wealth currency with Miss Chakirah. It's going down. So let's kick it off. First and foremost, Shakira, how do you identify creatively and professionally?
So for me, creatively and professionally is like one and the same when you're dealing with mental health. It is very much on the same playing field. So that is mental stability, my wellness in every aspect of my life. And that considers me knowing like having a strong foundation, knowing what my purpose is, and learning how to navigate through the ups and downs that life always throws at us.
I'm vibing. I love this because that's the key, right? That's the key. Actually understanding how to navigate when it's those curveballs that you were not expecting, right? Like, yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to dive into some stuff with you because we've had some people in our community that are like, can we talk about the wellness work that needs to be done for creatives to create? I'm shout out to Soleil. I'm like, yo, that's it. That's it right there. That's it right there. So, okay. Can you share a little bit about your background, right? So, what led you to specialize in, mental health and life purpose coaching? And then how would you describe like your approach or your philosophy to that?
Okay, so life coaching and mental health advocacy started just from my own personal experiences. I had a tough time. I was dealing with trauma, and in our community, it's a stigma with dealing with depression and healing your trauma and navigating through different issues. It was very much in my household. It was very much like you don't have any problems, like suck it up, or all these things. It's always brushed under the rug. So as I got older and I had a child myself, I was like, something's wrong with me, and it's not I had all the things and materialistic things, and I'm like, no, something is internally wrong with me, and I need to figure it out. So just my own internal issues and then looking at my friends and families, I'm like, they're going through different things. I was like, no, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And getting to the bottom of it was really like engaging in different reading exercises and healing exercises and knowing what healing was in general. So once I learned what healing was specifically, I said, okay, now what I'm going to do is try to help other people learn so that way they can prevent themselves from self-defeat, because that's what it was. It was like my own internal issues was causing conflict, and it was showing up in different places in my life. So that's how I kind of like started to get into it. And then I kind of like shifted between like adults and children and that nature, because I'm like, the youth is so important. Like they're going to grow up into being adults. And I feel like if I became someone that I needed when I was a teenager, then I would help the future. So I started from there, really.
It's the impact for me.
I
It's
believe the
the
children
impact
of
for
the
me. Impact
future.
driven. Yeah, like being the change
Yes.
that you wanted to see, you know? Impact driven work.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. So, okay. On Hear Us Out, we really are talking to a lot of creatives in the music, media, entertainment industries. Can you talk a little bit about some of the spaces that you fostered to allow, for safe space for creatives and just people in general, but specifically for creatives to actually approach dealing with mental health and like dealing with, okay, what is my life's purpose and how do I navigate that? Like, have you had some of those experiences and like just what was that process like? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, of course. So for me, when I talk to people about showing someone else a process, it comes with a lot of transparency. So in order for people to be vulnerable with me, because that's the main stage in really healing and knowing yourself, I had to show myself. So for me, what worked, I was just honest about my story, my journey, and what I'm going through. I'm 35 right now, and I'm still healing. I'm still learning. So when people would, listen to my story, it made them be able to come to me and be like, you know what, like I used to do that, or I dealt with that, or I know a family member that's dealing with that. So I think my transparency and vulnerability led other people to be able to come to me and speak to me. So once I built that bond with people, I started to create these safe spaces where people could just share their stories freely without being judged. So I started doing like workshops. I do healing workshops. They're normally interactive. I have a big thing with releasing all of our emotions or releasing things we go through. So I would have different interactive activities. Like I did one where we did like a plate that was called Let Go. So you put Let Go in the middle and you would write all the things that, you was just, that was a burden to you or that you couldn't share with someone else. You put it on a plate and we broke them. I was like, listen, we're going to release it. We're going to send it out into the universe and we're going to pray all the blessings and all the good energy comes back, because I feel like all of us, sometimes we don't have that space to indulge or to share because we're scared of judgment, or we might feel like we're not going to get the validation we need, or we're not going to be heard. So I think that's why I started to create these safe spaces for anybody, women and men, you know what I mean? To come and just be open about what they're going through.
I love how you say a lot of this starts from just like your own personal experience and the things that you wanted for yourself. Because
Yeah.
I think that's really how you get the change, right? They say, be the change you want to see in the world. And you literally are doing that in real time. And I think that's so dope.
Thank you. It's hard.
Seriously.
It's tough. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, like healing is not pretty. It's not. Like for me, it was a lot of tears. It was a lot of pain. It was a lot of repeating the story to try to get back to when the issue started or why I show up a certain way. So people see the pretty pictures and they're like, oh my gosh, Chakirah's so happy all the time. And I'm like, that came from pain. So I'm where I am today because I went through a lot of stuff and I watched a lot of people go through a lot of stuff, a lot of hurtful things. But that's why I'm so joyous and that's why I'm so full of love and that's why I'm so kind and have so much empathy from people, because baby, that healing process is like, it'll take you out. It'll take you out.
Ooh. I gotta ask
Bars.
you right quick, just while we're on the topic, it's like whenever you're approaching, potentially new people to work with, obviously a lot of what we're doing caters to creatives and executives in music and media. What sort of like roadblocks did you feel like you needed to overcome to, because a lot of times people do realize like I'm in a situation where I need to really focus on my wellness or heal parts of my past, but they don't even know how to like break down the barriers to get to the point where they can ask for help or start going on that journey. So what kind of advice do you have based on the things that you've done yourself?
So honestly, it's so important to know yourself. I think that's the issue. The issue at hand is that people don't admit they have a problem. So when you don't admit you have a problem, you don't see it. So there's a lack of like accountability. And when there's no accountability, there's no self-awareness. Those two in itself, if you don't have that, I mean, I'm really big on like when I tell people like I'm from New York and I'm like, I'm gonna tell it like it is. That's how I am, because I'm like, if you don't see the problem, how do you expect someone to help you? You can't. So I'm really, really big on accountability and self-awareness. You have to start there, because if you were not truthful to yourself and you cannot admit there's an issue at hand first, there will be no healing. There will be no, you know what I mean? There's no progress ever.
Yeah.
It's the truth
Snap
for
for
me.
that.
It's the truth for me. I
Snaps to
think,
that.
yeah, big snaps. Because the reality is, it's so interesting, especially in these industries where it's such a high workload, so much demand. There's so much time that has to be spent, and striking that work life balance is often complicated in creative industries. And so, I think it can get easy to be so caught up in what you're doing and on that autopilot and trying to just get the thing done or reach the deadline or do whatever that you don't even realize that you're going through something until those moments come where you're experiencing the severe burnout, or where you're experiencing like, yo, what is going on? I need to sit down for a second. And you just saying right now, like, you have to just be honest with yourself, hold yourself accountable and say, yo, I need a break, or yo, you need to sit down for a second, or yo, on a short fuse this week or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And so I really just value you being like, yo, it starts with just getting to know yourself. That is such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself, because I feel like we don't talk about that enough. Like, the process of getting to know oneself is so much deeper than what do I like and what do I not like, but what are my triggers, what sets me off, what keeps me going, what are all those things. Like, really taking the time to get to know yourself. Didn't you do some work too also in the music space, right? You've done some workshops with some of the labels and
Yeah.
all of that. When you were doing those workshops, first and foremost, can you talk to us a little bit like about how you were able to foster the connections to be able to do something like that? And then can you, whatever you can share, can you talk to us a little bit about like what that experience was like, as you being a facilitator, but then also the impact that you were able to recognize from that?
Yeah, sure. So, honestly, when I tell people this, I'm like, it was nothing but God. I promise you. I'm very much a student in life, very much so. And when I tell you God, I manifested the moment. I was very much in my own thing. I had, I still do like work for nonprofits of a school that I work with. So I'm super close with the CEO. So he's like, hey, listen, I know you don't work at the school anymore, but please, we need an extra chaperone. Can we get an extra chaperone? I'm like, where y'all going? He like, we going to Warner Music, we going to a firehouse, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So I'm chaperoning, literally chaperoning. I go and they have like all the executives, they're talking to the kids, high school students. Me, baby, when I see an opportunity, I'm gonna take that chance. Like, that's one thing, you have to be willing to take a risk. You hear me? Like, you gotta put your foot in that door and keep it going. So I literally went after the executives they stopped speaking to the kids. I literally asked, I was like, hey, what's your mental health programming like for your employees and for your artists? And they were kind of like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, do you have one? What's happening? Like, they're like, no, but we can get you someone that you can speak to. So honestly, it was a thing of a running around thing, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up getting connected with someone named Dr. Maurice Danette from Warner Music DEI. So he was amazing. I ended up being in LA. He's like, come down, let's chit chat. And he literally hired me on the spot. He was like, listen, I love your energy, your aura. This is what we're going to do. You're going to create these healing spaces, these healing circles. And it literally happened. When I tell you God did that for me, I cried because I could not believe that I literally went from me just being like, hey, let me ask you a question. Do you have this program and who can I speak to? And I'm going on LinkedIn and I'm sending DMs. And that's one thing, baby, when I tell you the DMs that I send, the messages that I send, the emails that I send, I'm going to fight for it. Because if it's something I want, baby, it's okay if you tell me no. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to keep, listen, when I tell you I done got plenty of no's, baby, the amount of no's that I've gotten, and I kept pushing. So that one thing, and it literally worked in my favor. Like, nothing truly but God. So I ended up hosting healing circles under there, and it was amazing for me. It was my first time like diving into the media. So it was nice to see these top executives and all these people and really understand that we're really one and the same. Like, we're literally going through the same emotions and the same, not necessarily, how we process it, but as far as like the situations that we go through, we're all human. We're all experiencing these different feelings and sometimes not knowing how to navigate through it. So it was nice to create that space where people literally, once again, shared their stories and shared their experiences in the workplace, their ups and downs, and really just came together as a whole to just be like, oh, I feel you. Sometimes you need that, like, oh, I feel you. I went through that. Oh, we here. Sometimes you need that connection. And that's what it was. And it was amazing to experience that.
And that's on shooting your shot.
Baby, I done missed a couple, but the ones that I made, all net.
Swoosh.
All net.
Come on. No,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that because it's like you saying yes to something that you might not necessarily would have optimally said yes to allows you to say yes to even bigger things.
Yeah.
There's a lesson in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lesson in that.
Now that was a bar, okay? That was...
I'm ripping off you, like you starting it, I'm finishing it. It's like, I honestly I love that so much, and I want to hear a little bit more about some of the common mental health issues or struggles that you've been seeing amongst music creatives or executives, and how you address coaching them with your practice. Because I just feel like you really in the trenches with it, so you know what's up.
Yeah, so for me, a lot of it was really standing firm in your power, like knowing that, because I feel like with a lot of creatives that I've come across and had as clients, it was very much so like who you are versus who they want you to be. So like perception versus reality. It was a lot of that, you know? So it was I feel like everything always, and not to sound like so cliche, from it always goes back to like the foundation of who you are. Do you know who you are? Can you stand firm as somebody saying, oh, I want you to be this, but that's not who you resonate with, you know? Like in a lot of the creatives, they're having a hard time of staying in their creativity and loving and enjoying the space they're in, and at the same time trying, there's stars and stuff dropping by. Like there's stars and stuff, but
When I saw it, I was like,
standing in their
wow.
I just saw it too. But like standing in their power, it's tough. And just as somebody like, you know, just as a human being, sometimes it's hard to be who you are and not going in and out of like knowing your identity. You know what I mean? Like when you know your identity and you don't have someone push you and sway you from one side to another, it's easier that way. But a lot of creatives have a hard time in just really like saying no when they want to say no, saying yes when they want to say yes, and not feeling guilty for it, because that happens a lot too. It's like, damn, I don't really want to, but maybe this is this or maybe this is that, and they teeter totter on spaces that they shouldn't. Like if something doesn't resonate with you and you don't feel strong to do that, then don't. If something is really changing a path or your beliefs or your moral system, then don't. Listen, baby, when I tell you God is gonna have your back. So if it's something that you meant to have or meant to be at, you're going to be there. You're going to get it. Divine timing. Every time in a place is always, listen, you always where you're supposed to be at that right time. So believe in that, and that's what it was like, getting people to stand firm in who they are.
Again, bars,
Bars. Big
gems.
bars.
And I love how this is
Big bars.
applicable to folks even outside of music and media, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes is true for a lot of like advice. It's like no matter what industry you're in or go to, standing firm in your power, believing in yourself, self awareness, all those things, you can take that anywhere.
Have you noticed that there is something maybe within the operation of the entertainment industry or the creative industries that fosters some of these like habits that are worth unlearning? Like what is the root? Have you noticed what maybe a root cause or causes are to, feeling like, okay, being able to stand on that sense of self is a little bit more complicated, or whatever the case may be? Like, were you able to, or have you been able to, in your experience, identify some root causes?
So for me, I feel like what I notice is that there's a lack of real artist development. Like, I mean, like years ago, I'm used to like real artist development. And there's such a like, I have a talent, I have this person, this is what they're giving me, and that's it. Like, I feel like there's a lack of like media training. I feel like there's a lack of just like, as a whole in totality, there isn't that anymore. It's like people don't care. It's like, you can make money, I'm gonna put you on the screen. That's it. It don't matter what you got going on, like how you know what I mean? Like your media, it's so bizarre to me. But I think that's like the source of everything. Like there's a huge lack of like real artist development, and I feel like a lot of people are coming in with the the lack of artist development. They don't really know who they are. It's like, oh, this person said I'm great, and they said I make money, so we're gonna use that. But then once they get in front of these people and they're doing all these things, it's like they don't know how to deal in chaos, or they only know how to deal in chaos. It's like so many different avenues to navigate through that they're not being taught, because they make so much money, or because they feel like they can make so much money, or you know what I mean, the influencers and things of the influencers. It's like it's so much that goes into that to have it properly done, and people are skipping the steps. And when you skip steps, baby, that backtrack is insane. So I think that's, for me, that's what I noticed.
No lies were, it's a very powerful observation for sure. For sure. Lottie, what was you gonna
And
say?
it's also
For
like an
sure.
it's also an ongoing
Ongoing issue.
discussion, right? It's like, whose responsibility is artist development? Is it still a thing, in the 20th or in the 2020s pertaining? And so is it focused on, is it the artist who's supposed to develop themselves? Is it the team, the label side? Is it the team management side? It's like who is responsible? And I'd like to think it's a group effort, but you know,
I agree. So
times
you
have
saying
changed.
that too. I remember having different like meetings with different people and execs and things, and I always ask like, what's the capacity of the label? Like, what do they do for the artists? And when it came to like mental health and well being, is very much like they handle it themselves. I'm like, why is that not a package deal? Like at some point, like I get it, but like, why is that not on the forefront? And it's very much like they're like, oh, if they need a therapist or they need someone to speak to, they handle that on their own. Like we only do this, that, and the third. Like the revenue, that you know what I mean? And it's like that's it. So I was kind of like flabbergasted in a sense because I was like, wait, what? Especially these young kids. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? What's happening? But yeah, it was a shocker for me.
And this is
And that's a
why
good point. Yeah.
LVRN is like a shining
Mm-hmm.
light of a label, I feel, because they prioritize mental health down. They are about it for their talent, they're about it for the employees. I remember when Summer Walker was going through her whole situation with social anxiety and they came to her defense, and I was like, wow, this is so refreshing. Because everyone else just be like, suck it up and deal with it. You're
Let
figuring
her,
out your feelings.
yeah, in the fire. Just let her sit in the fire. Like, what? Yeah, she getting dragged
Yeah,
on
it's
socials, all
crazy.
of it,
It's
right?
crazy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
For
crazy to
sure.
watch.
We're talking about, the needing more of a thorough strategy around and just more of a team around and involved with the artist development of things on the like you could say business side of the creativity. On the other side of this is what the internal artist may be feeling, which is like a conversation that comes up often on this show, just because we're all dealing with it, especially in creative industries, but just even outside of creative industries, is imposter syndrome. And this is one of the things that we've noticed a lot of, not even just artists, execs have it too. We've talked to a lot of people. I've definitely dealt with it. I know Lottie has mentioned that she's dealt with it as well. And so when it comes to imposter syndrome and just how common it is for so many of the artists and creatives, what is your advice for people who are trying to work through, overcoming the feeling of self-doubt? And how can people and creatives and artists be trying to cultivate the confidence that they need for their work, and in these spaces where they know that they deserve to be there and they have what they need to be there, but just the thoughts, the things that happen in the mind that convince you
Yeah.
otherwise.
So for me, the biggest thing is the you have to stop the comparison. Oh my god, when I tell you the comparison between just in general, not just artists, just being a human, like the constant comparison. Literally, when that quote that says it's the thief of joy, I promise you, because I dealt with that so much. Like, but she has that, or this happened fast, or oh my, you know what I mean? It literally will eat you alive. So you have to stop the comparing yourself to others. That's one. Two, positive self talk is so important. I feel like a lot of us self sabotage, and then that we're like, I'm not good enough, or I don't have the credentials, or she has all of this, all of these accolades. When I say I still deal with that today, I'm like, no, wait a minute, Shakira, you're just as good. Like, you know what I mean? You have to do positive self talk, and then at the same time, sit in what you're feeling. You know what I mean? Like when you have self doubt, sit in that. Don't make yourself feel guilty about it. Like it's okay. I'm human. Like maybe I feel like this is not this, but you have to really learn to love on yourself. Like love on yourself, show yourself some grace, and take your time. Have attainable goals. Like set little goals. I know sometimes people are like, oh, I want to make this amount in this year, or I want to have this at this certain time. That's great, baby. Shoot for the stars. Go big or go home. But still at the same time, like please, like be realistic in a sense where you're going to overwork yourself, or you're going to literally like force yourself in a space that you can't get out because you're like, I need to have this, there's a deadline. Baby, don't put no deadline on no goals or anything in your life. Because I remember when I was 16 and I wrote, I'm going to be married at this time. I'm going to have this type of car and this house at this time. Baby, none of that stuff happened. That stuff did not happen at those ages. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I did not start to live life until I was 30. I am 35 now. Like when I really saw it. So you just gotta take your time, show yourself some grace, stop comparing yourself, and literally just be comfortable in who you are.
Come on, talk to us. Come
Mic
on.
drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Literally, like,
very important advice.
I
We are in a smoke and mirrors industry where everything is highlight reels, highlight reels, highlight reels, highlight reels. So very pertinent. Seriously.
Yeah.
top tier advice
I
for
would love
sure.
to hear more about your thoughts on people like finding their purpose and alignment with creative endeavors, because obviously, like you're saying, a lot of folks can get so consumed by what other people are doing. And they think, well, if this is fulfilling to this person, this is fulfilling to that person. Or if people are telling me I should be fulfilled doing this, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But having success doing certain things, or even a passion for doing certain things, doesn't necessarily equate to fulfillment. So what advice do you have for folks who have a sense of what their purpose is, but they want to make sure that their creative endeavors align with that purpose?
So for me, there's like keywords in that, like identify, like that's your identity. Like, of course, like we said before, it goes back to knowing who you are. Because if you don't know who you are and you don't start at that mainframe there, I could, like, for me, for example, I'm great at doing hair, right? I don't like to do hair. But people be like, oh, monetize that. No, do that. Be a hairdresser. Just because you're good at something does not mean you need to capitalize off that. And that's the thing with a lot of people. And then you end up doing something that it's not a passion. It's just a talent of yours, you know? It's something that God gifted you, and you don't have to capitalize off of that. So that's the thing. You need to identify what it is that you want to do, that you see a future in, not something that happens to be a talent of yours that you're good at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good at dancing. Do I want to be a dancer? No. You know what I mean? Like, you have to identify what the source of that is. And just in general, alignment. That means something that coincides, that has harmony, that goes together. Once you figure out your identity, in a sense, then you can allow your creative endeavors. Because I feel like creativity is also a part of who you are. Like, for me, I might like something this week and then next week I don't, which is fine. So in that aspect, it's okay if you go through these waves of like trying to figure it out. Just start with that basics of identifying who you are, identifying the craft, identifying what it is that you like, what you don't like. And then, little by little, work through that. Because sometimes it'll be like, I like this is great, I'm going to do it. And then in the end, something doesn't work out. So switch it. It's okay to start over. And that's a big thing, baby. Start over. As many times as you need to start over, start over. So that's what it is. Like, things are aligned once you figure out and you hone in what that is, but you gotta really hone in and identify that first.
I love what
More
you're
that
saying.
self-work. More that self-work.
Regardless of all the things that you're doing, it starts from here, right? It starts from you knowing who you are, you knowing what you want, you knowing what you want to feel, this, that, and the third. And I love the distinction between just because you're good at something doesn't mean you need to monetize it, because, child, in today's...
That was a big bar to hear. Yeah, exactly. And this is funny because this is not the first time that we're having this exact conversation. Like, you don't have to monetize off of everything. And I think in today's time, that's where it feels like that's the narrative that is being pushed. And I question how sustainable that is, trying to monetize off of every single thing that you're good at. I feel like it's just a recipe for burnout. But who knows? Who's to say? I don't know. But I think you just saying that right now is like, yeah, it's worth thinking about, though. Like, just because I'm good at something, and I love that you said, just because you're good at something and you have a talent on it doesn't mean that that's the thing that you're the most passionate about. And if you're going to do something, let it be the thing that you're the most passionate about, because that's how you continue to pour into your own cup. That bar, big bar. Speaking of all of the social media and all this other stuff, right? So social media social media is it can be a place, and cancel culture is a big thing, especially now. We're seeing so many things that were done in the dark come to light, and all of that can be overwhelming, and not even just in the creative industries but just in the world in general. We're seeing how people, activists are having to utilize social media in order to highlight the truth of what's going on in our world right now, and all of that. And that can be incredibly overwhelming. It can exasperate a lot of mental issues that already maybe exist, especially for artists and creatives. So how do you support your clients in dealing with the pressures of, fame and public perception? I know, obviously, staying true to yourself, I already know, but like, really, like,
Hmm.
what would you say goes into just that?
So honestly, you need to ask for help. That's the thing. Like, people are afraid to ask for help. Baby, open their mouth. Me, it used to be like chewing glass. I would rather struggle. I would rather go through the trenches. Baby, when I tell you it was a trauma response, because I'm like, I'm not going to ask anybody. I could do it myself. I got it. I'm going to figure it out. Baby, no, 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 no. Ask for help. Like, that is the biggest thing. Like, when you're going through things and it's so much and it's so chaotic and you're on social media, find a resource for yourself, like whether it's or an outlook, find journaling or music, or you really need to decompress. Like, find something that helps you decompress, because baby, the constant scrolling, the constant taking in of information from this person or that person, or opinions from other people, it will drive you insane. So for sure, ask for help, decompress, learn different resources, different outlets, because that is the only thing that's going to save you.
Using the time on there to find the resources is such a big key. That was such a big gem that
Yeah.
was just dropped. Like, if you're going to be on there, like, locate a resource that can help you to actually fill your own cup. Don't just be on there, because overconsumption right now, man, everything, we have computers in the palm of our hand when we're walking around. So it's so easy to consume so much information, so many
Hmm.
opinions, so many thoughts and perspectives.
We're
And
very
so you just being
overstimulated.
like, yeah. Oh, we live in overstimulation. It's insane. So it's
Literally.
like, yeah, I mean, right? It's so much that's always going on all the time. I feel like every time I open my phone, I'm like, what? Something else happened? What? No way, huh? It was just something 5 minutes ago when I opened
No,
it.
seriously.
Stop,
Between like
So,
actual
yeah,
news and like all this stuff, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I would
a
love to
lot all the
hear
time.
more about, just looking to the future of this stuff, especially when it comes to mental health awareness and support systems in the music industry. I know you're doing your thing to contribute to the movement, but I'd love to hear more about maybe like on an institutional level, how would you like to play your part to ensuring that those things become more commonplace?
So I'm always doing stuff within the school system or working with nonprofit organizations. Like, I'm a community builder. Like, I am on the forefront. I do the work. So I love that process, because I feel like in order to heal myself, I'm also going to heal others. So as long as I stay on that path and I'm in a journey of pouring and giving back, you know what I mean? Like, it's always a constant like ebb and flow for me. So as long as I'm like in the field, and I consider that in the field, because baby, when you work with different students, or you're working with different adults, or you're working with people that have different mental health issues, it is definitely, it takes a toll on you. But as long as it goes back to you being passionate and it's something that you really, really feel in your heart, I mean, I feel like I'm always gonna be on the path of like giving, because when I give more, I feel like I receive more. So I feel like it just works that way.
You're like, yeah, I am always going to be rooted in the education system and nonprofit organizations, because they're the ones that are really, the torchbearers of trying to make sure that the next generations are like starting with a solid foundation, a more healthy foundation, breaking, generational curses, unlearning trauma, unlearning just all of the different things. So I think that that's really commendable as well. I'm so
Thank you.
excited to hear about what is to come in the future for you, for sure. So what is one gem that you would be willing to share? And it doesn't have to be one. Honestly, it could be any. What is some gems, one gem, however many gems that that you would give to like a rising creative who is trying to navigate building, their brand, their empire, if you will, and just staying rooted in their being present and mental health and the wellness and just like really walking in their purpose. Are there some gems you're willing to drop on that?
Yeah. So there's like this saying that I really, really live by. So it's called live, seek, know. So live through your emotions, through your issues, through your trials and tribulations. Like really, really sit and really show you some grace within that, right? So that has to do with the self accountability and the self awareness. Seek. When I say seek, I mean seek out the resources, seek out the information, seek out the help, seek out the people, seek out the community, seek out whatever it is that you need to become who you're trying to be. Always. And then know that you're supposed to be here, know that you're loved, know that you are special, know that you are unique, and know that this is your journey and only your journey. So you tell a story how you want to tell it, and you take your time how you need to take your time. So live, seek, know.
I live, seek, know. That's literally about to be the title of this episode. Live, seek, know. That's literally about to be the title of this episode. Like that. That's empower. I find it to be so helpful when people, whether it's you're working with a wellness coach, whether it's a life purpose coach, whether it's your math teacher. I always find it so helpful when there's like the acronyms that you can use, the little terms, the like, okay, I got to remember this. Like, hello, especially if you're like a person who needs to just, okay, wait, what was I supposed to be doing? This, and this. Live, seek, help. Okay, just remember, live, and just being able to repeat that to yourself. Like, I'm all over the moon for it. So I think we lost Lottie for a second, but that's okay because I already know she's vibing. She was like, yes, this is it. This is the one. Okay, so let us know, how can the Hear Us Out community be showing up for you? How can we be supporting you? How can myself, Lottie, our community, how can we be amplifying the work that you're doing?
Honestly, it is just showing love to me on my social media platforms. Whenever I'm having an event, I don't have anything coming up right now, but when I do, I always post on my socials. So my personal page is at Kirah.xo. That's KIRAAH.xo. And then my business page is beheard.b8. So that's BEHERHEARD.b8. So my socials are always having things. I'm always updating things there. So y'all can just show me love right over there.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Everybody, you heard it here first. Make sure you guys follow Chakirah on socials like she said. Let's show up for her. She has some events. I already know we're all going to benefit from it. So let's make sure to show up, pop out, be present. And if you can, for those of you that are watching right now, drop some gems that you're walking away from this conversation with in the comments. We want to hear how you're learning from this, what it's feeling like, what you're getting from it. And even more than that, what are your questions? What are your thoughts? Like, let us know. Make sure you tap in with Chakirah. She's literally saying how much of a resource that she's being and how she wants to continue to do that. Let's continue to have these types of conversations for real, okay? Let's do it. All right, ladies. Chakirah, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. Big Pear, we love it. I'm so excited to hear about everything that's coming. Like, I know you're gonna have so many blessed opportunities coming your way, so I'm excited to see that. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Hear Us Out, the Music and Media Blueprint, brought to you by River and Lottie. If you love what you heard, hit that subscribe button. And of course, make sure to join our Lay Low community for exclusive updates and behind-the-scenes access. Now remember, friends, keep going, stay motivated, and stay inspired. You got this. We believe in you. See you next time.